Hey, Russ.
Dean, how are you today?
Oh, good, sir. Very good. Okay. So tell folks a little bit about yourself, and then I've got some hypotheticals that I want to run you through, some scenarios, some stories.
Sure thing. I don't have any battle armor on, so take it
There we
easy
go.
on me. My name is Russ Briscoe. I'm principal partner with Circle Forward Consulting. Circle Forward Consulting, what is that? We help early stage founders deliver on annual goals so they can reach milestones to
Mhm.
substantiate a next capital round, a next raise. And the key there is without wasting the time and the money usually wrapped up in that. I've been at this game for 20 plus years now. By this game, I mean B2B sales.
Right.
So I've been an account exec, sales management, director level, VP sales, and CRO. I'm still here, scarred, but not beaten. I've made all the mistakes. So I just, welcome the chance to reflect on some of that with you.
All right. Okay. So let's roll right into what is going to end up being a very eventful hypothetical day for you.
Hmm.
And you're going to spend the first half of the day at a brand new client, brand new engagement. It's day one of the official. Let's get in and roll up our sleeves. All right. So you show up, let's say, at
Mhm.
the client site on day one. What's the nightmare scenario you'd be walking into, or what's the dream scenario you'd be walking into as a consulting slash fractional CRO? Sorry.
Mm. Well, maybe I'll start with the dream
Yeah.
because it almost never happens this way.
Yeah.
All right. So I kind of package this dream as there's momentum with a mandate.
Hmm.
So the CEO knows specifically why they've brought in a fractional CRO
Right.
in the stead of a salesman or a sales manager or some sort of time boxed consultant. They specifically went out and got a CRO.
Hmm.
The team, his or her executive team, knows what winning looks like. By that, I mean the company has clarity on its current priorities. They have a defined ideal customer profile. They have some semblance of a working motion around lead flow.
Hmm.
Top of funnel is somehow clicking. And there's this just overall culture where the CRO is not a fixer. He or she is meant to be a scaler,
Right.
right? Like, so that's my dream scenario where it's, like I said, it's momentum with a mandate, and now let's pour the gas on the fire that's lit. um, Here's the thing: most companies think they need a CRO in advance of when they actually do.
Right.
um, so if you're pre-product market fit, there is no chance you need a CRO. Even if you're pre-go-to-market fit, you do not need a CRO. So my dream scenario is actually being, for once in my life, needed, right?
Right. At the right time in the right place.
At the right time in the right place. Exactly right. Now, on the flip side, the nightmare side of this is I'm brought in as a CRO prematurely
Right.
to scale the chaos, right? So my favorite thing I hear, and yeah, favorite, I'm being cheeky, right? I'm hiring you to own revenue.
Yeah.
There's this aura or this expectation when I hear that phrasing that I'm coming in. You remember that? You've probably seen it. I think everyone's seen it in some form or fashion. Pulp Fiction, that movie.
Hmm.
There's a character in there called the Wolf.
Mr. Wolf. Yeah.
Exactly right. Harvey Keitel, rest in peace.
Hmm.
He shows up after a bloody mess as the fixer and goes, bang, bang, this, that, do this, do this, do this. This is not how you bring in a CRO. Um, you need alignment. You need a management team that is ready to inculcate a true revenue leader. So my nightmare is the absence of that alignment. My nightmare is no data,
Right.
right? Or really messy data where the team is making ill-founded conclusions, right? My nightmare is there's no proof of product market fit, but the CEO is acting like scale should already be happening.
Right.
Um, there's this whole like, go make it happen, right? Like, let's throw money at you. You've got experience, selling and being successful leading sales. So go make it happen. And then you sort of sit down and you ask him or her, the CEO, well, what does it mean? And they can't answer.
Yeah.
Right. So the other thing, when you start to see like a real nightmare unfurling, there's ego, there's fraction, there's leadership team building little kingdoms here and there and otherwhere. So if that is sounding all too real, it's because it has been. So that's the nightmare.
All right. So let's going back to the CEO and it.
Yes.
Okay. So let's imagine briefly that you're 90 days in, or some period of time in.
Sure.
The CEO passes you in the hall and says, "Hey, Russ, I mean, I understood the value prop for bringing you in the first place. We budgeted, we allocated spend, and that's been good. It's humming along. But I got to be honest with you. It was only last night, like I had my aha moment, and I realized like what value is really being brought by having you here. What is that aha moment? What is the it?"
Well, I mean, frankly, this is why Circle Forward has grown up the way it has, our
Mm-hmm.
consulting firm. It's running a business operating system and realizing through the connectivity, the alignment of that business operating system, that revenue is a team sport.
Right.
Revenue is not isolated from product, marketing, CS, customer success,
Mm-hmm.
right? The CRO is integral in that holistic motion, not standing alone in the front of the battle and charging, right? That's the aha, that actually the CRO doesn't own the revenue number. Frankly, the CEO owns the revenue number in the sense that the CEO is that buck stop responder to the company's valuation. The CRO maybe owns the performance against the revenue number, but not the revenue number itself,
Right.
which could be a hot take. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So let's continue on in your incredibly packed and busy day. You only had a few hours for these folks because you had a pre-existing, conflict, and
Sure.
it's that you drive downtown to a big hotel. There's a conference happening,
Yeah.
and you're one of the speakers today. So you're up on stage. There's 250 people in the audience. Every one of them has come up through the ranks. Every one of them starts their first ever job or gig as a as a CRO tomorrow.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So you're the expert to them, right? You've done this multiple companies come up through the ranks like they did.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're talking to these folks and you're trying to like mentally prepare them and frame them. Really, ideally, they should have sought out advice from you many months ago, but it is what it is. So you're going to make sure they're as well prepared as possible mentally before they go in tomorrow for their first ever job, really, as like that level. Okay. And so I'm just going to give you three things, and you just finish the sentence with as much time as you need to finish it. Okay?
Gotcha. Be
So you're
careful
looking at
with
these
that.
folks, and you're saying, guys, like ladies, gentlemen, tell you what, something that I think you're going to be surprised by when you first step into a CRO role is what?
Well, first I'd say run. It's a trap.
Yeah, don't do it. Carry a bag. Way less hassle.
It's like that old Twilight Zone episode. Now I'm really throwing it back, but like it's a cookbook, No, here's what the surprise would be about. I think it's a great question. Surprise, you are going to be in the middle of a lot of tension, and that tension is on the leadership team, and it's okay that it's there. But you are in the middle of the most important thing that your company is likely doing, which is driving revenue. So you're going to be set between a good tension, hopefully, between sales and product, between marketing and finance, between founders and their belief and the market itself. So colleagues of mine who are in the revenue leadership world, we kind of chat and talk about how lonely it is. not even lonely at the top, because the CEO is at the top of the company.
Right.
It's lonely at the ladder up to the top too, as a CRO. So I think that another thing that's surprising is that relationship that a CRO and a CEO has, um, especially if the CEO is the founder. It can be real blurry around who's calling the shots strategically on
Right.
revenue. So it's not as clearly said as like, hey, I'm obviously not an engineer, and you're the head of engineering, so this is your ball. Um, every CEO, in some sense, is a salesperson.
Hmm.
So that fuzziness is also sort of a surprise that you don't have the scepter in your hand wholly and only. Um, I think that surprise, you need thick skin. Surprise, you're going to have to check your ego. Surprise, if there aren't clear priorities, you've got to gin yourself up to call that out, and that happens way more often than one would think.
All right. All right. So now we're about the middle of your speech to these
Okay.
folks. And your statement is this. And I'll tell you something else. As you get new jobs or pick up clients, fractional, you're going to find most companies just don't understand what.
CRO is not a magician.
Mm,
They do not understand that by hiring the CRO function, you are not in and of itself fixing revenue. Most just don't understand that revenue is a team sport. The CRO, at his or her best, is the conductor of emotion,
right.
not the owner of an entire process. Again, not understanding product market fit is so cataclysmic in this game. Like if you don't have product market fit, if you don't really understand the problem or the opportunity and the challenges within your total addressable market or your service addressable market, you do not need a CRO.
Right.
There is no sales talent. There is no compensation planning. There's no CRM wizardry. There's no, hey, let's get a playbook together that fixes the absence of product market fit. If I had a dollar for every time I've had a prospective conversation with a CEO who
Hmm.
is like, we're looking for a playbook, I would be in Tahiti already, right? Like it's CRO only needs to show up within a company that is really standing on a solid business operating system. Some of these you might have heard mention OKRs or
Hmm.
EOS,
Oh,
scaling
yeah.
up, some methodology. Heck, Circle Forward, we run one too.
Yeah.
Some methodology that promotes alignment, accountability, and the acceleration that comes from that. In the absence of having that, most companies don't understand that they can't throw a sales leader at the head and expect revenue.
Mm. All right. And then because you're in the fractional role, I have an additional question. So like
Mm.
as they're sort of shooing you off stage because you're kind of chatty, and you've been like you're going to bump up against the next speaker.
I'm just amazed they're still awake.
They're terrified. They're awake.
Okay.
They're especially terrified now they've listened to you.
Yeah.
And so, as they're sort of like being swept off the stage, you just say, "Look, I'm going to tell you one more thing for the fractional CROs out there,
Yeah.
and it's this: besides one-to-one networking, the most important thing you can do to get a new client is what?
To win a new client as a fractional CRO, what's the most important thing you can do?
Other than one-to-one networking in the first place."
Gotcha. I think it's to stand for something. I think
Yeah,
it's to have a clear clarion call that I'm not, again, a sales magician. Here's what I
yeah,
am. I'm someone who is experienced and lucid enough to come in and tell you what you shouldn't be doing. So I often think about it in its negative or reverse. I'm not going to come in and necessarily and only accelerate what you think you're doing or should be doing. I'm going to come in and crystallize all that stuff that's swirling around kind of chaotically and give you the confidence to put it to the side and focus solely and only on the thing that's going to unlock your growth.
Mm.
Um, we're going to lay all the options out on the table of how to go to market and through what mechanisms, and then we're going to track how those align to your goals and how those goals indeed unlock the big vision that you're walking around with as a CEO. You should be a visionary. I can actualize getting to that vision by taking a lot of crap off of the table and saying, no, not now, just this now, then that. Um, the job is not about speed, it's about performance excellence. So we can go far if we go correct at this juncture. That's what I'd be telling a CEO. And I think that I know that that surprises CEOs in conversations that I've had, where we end up talking more about what they shouldn't do
Right.
relative to how or what they should be doing. Um, I don't know if that's a good enough answer, but like I would give that as advice to sort of lean into the negative of what not to do.
Yeah. All right. So you're off stage now. You're out on the conference floor. There's booths. There's people walking around. You're having some ad hoc conversations. You've actually got a few meetings set up. Gets to sit over here on this couch or this breakout room. Right.
Mhm.
So you're talking to your next possible prospective clients potentially.
Mhm.
Okay. As you're talking to clients, sort of getting to know them a little bit, what do these prospects, I should say, they're not clients yet, what do
Yep.
prospects tend to overrate and underrate when they're talking to you about a fractional CRO role?
Ah, gosh. I'm working on the greatest hits album of this,
Yeah.
because these tracks are like Leonard Skinner, "Play Free Bird."
Yeah.
Like, the overrated, top of the pops number one hit, we need a playbook. We need a playbook. If I only had a playbook, my reps would be, repeating, and that repeat turns to scale, and that scale turns to value. Da, da, da.
Mhm.
That is number one overrated. This concept of a playbook. What's better than a playbook is how do we test and learn things around here?
Mhm.
That's what you need. You need a motion for figuring out what works that is repeatable, not the X's and O's of a playbook. How do we practice selling? That's something to have in the stead of a playbook. Um, track two on this album of mine, overrated hits of 2025, revenue attribution.
Mm.
Everyone has grown to be, rightly, I can get why, but the old adage of garbage in, garbage out is super true. If your data isn't clean, even though you have a corpus of it now like never before, do not bungle around with trying to attribute revenue too early. Um,
So what's sort of criminally underrated?
well, the learning motion, and part of that is like practice. Um,
Right.
Practicing off the cycle of sales, not in front of a customer, in other words,
Right.
doing mock sales calls, doing role plays. Sales should be
Debriefings.
practicing as often as possible. Criminally underrated as well is competitive research and market intelligence through
Mm.
all functions of the business, not just sales, but across the board. Um, uh, Allow the company to become a beacon and evangelizing force in the market by being obsessed with learning about its competitors and the market around it. I also think hugely sales enablement or revenue enablement. I think it's more de rigueur to call it
Yeah.
revenue enablement. Hugely underrated function in a company, a game changing function. Revenue enablement is the connective tissue between strategy and execution. And if you're not growing up sales enablement or rev enablement in your business, you are not keeping up with what
Right.
many high flying successful companies are doing. Uh, Last, because I'm passionate. Last, I'll jam in the last
Mhm.
underrated thing that I see is LinkedIn in its way. Having your company, not again just on the sales side, but your marketers, your CS people, heck, your internal function finance. Uh, are they active on LinkedIn and creating content that is effectively making a community out of what your company is doing in the marketplace? Uh, I'm talking about content posting. I'm talking about connecting actively on LinkedIn. I'm talking about commenting, being out in the market square on LinkedIn is hugely underrated at most all companies I speak with. It's not just that your account executive should be doing that.
Right.
Everyone should be doing that.
Yeah. All right. And then as you're talking to, this is my last sort of second last question. Um, as you're talking to prospective clients, just getting to know them, what's a red flag they throw up and what's a green flag they could throw up?
Oh gosh. Maybe I'll start with greens.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I love a CEO or prospective client that can talk to me in specifics, that knows the data
Right.
cold. Like, this is our current customer count. This is our net churn. This is our LTV to CAC. I love a CEO that has active, ongoing, close knit relationships with the firm's early or critical customers.
Mm-hmm.
I love a CEO who's saying, hey, let me introduce you to one of our customers. They're going to describe what we're doing around here
Mm-hmm.
as well as I can.
Right.
Um, I love a CEO. A green flag is, hey, Russ, what do you need to be successful in your first 30, 60, 90? Not just hitting me with what I needs from you because problem A, B, C. Uh, I love a CEO who's turned about and asking me how he or she can facilitate my success.
Right.
Uh, I love a CEO who owns, via honest reflection, the mistakes that the company has made in its grow up.
You
No
want someone
company,
who's candid.
yeah, can I
Yeah.
think that's a great word for it. A candid man or woman who's like, "Hey, we missed the mark in this way and that way and this, and I see it, and now we're poised to turn about and change up."
Right.
Red flag, other side is someone who is not wanting to change or not open to changing not only the go-to-market motion, but the leadership motion, and still expects to grow. Change is commiserate with growth in this game. Um, being stuck on the idea, red flag style, stuck on the idea of we have a sales problem. If only we unlock and figure out how to acquire customers, everything else is fixed. That is a total red flag for me because it is nonsensical.
Right.
Acquiring more customers actually opens up further challenges or problems in other parts of the business generally, and those need to be weaponized into being opportunities. Um, red flag, just a practical for my brothers and sisters who are in fractional CRO work, is a CEO who is obsessive about how much of or your time am I getting.
Right.
It should really be a scope and results orientated more than about hours on the clock. Um, Another red flag is maybe the most critical I should have started with. If there's been a huge amount of turnover on the executive team, uh, that really speaks to a toxicity in the culture, and the CEO really owns that culture. So um,
Is it a red flag if there's been a lot of turnover on the sales team?
no, that's a great question.
Hmm.
My answer is generally no, because usually that I'd even say that that's a green flag, because if you're growing and committed to the change, commiserate with growth, you are going to outgrow your frontline salespeople. Uh, Not always,
Right.
maybe not usually, do your salespeople evolve up to management effectively and quickly enough for the needs of a scaling company. So I don't look at uh, the an old adage is, hire slow and fire fast. I think that it's sort of a positive if there's been a lot of new blood in the functional motions at the management and the individual contributor level in a growing company. Not so on the executive team, I would say.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. All right. Russ, this has been great, man. It's been fantastic.
Well,
A
thanks.
lot of great answers. Okay, so who, like as specific as you can be, who should be calling you these days, and what's the best way to get to you?
Oh, bat signal. You
Oh,
know, no. If you're a first time founder with a product that is working
mm-hmm.
and a team that's forming, an early leadership team, and you're trying maybe specifically to outgrow like a real founder led sales motion into a more standardized go to market system approach,
Right.
that's when you reach out. Myself and my firm specialize in early stage, high growth technology startups with a mandate to scale, and a watchful eye on the time and money in the kitty in order to do so.
Right.
So you can catch me on LinkedIn. I am always I hope contributing a nice bolstering positive voice in the revenue leadership community on LinkedIn. Russell Briscoe. Everybody calls me Russ except my dad and LinkedIn. They call me Russell. That's two S's and two L's, Briscoe. You can email me, Russ, RUSS, at circleforward.co.co.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can check out our stuff. We've got an active blog and all kinds of stuff on our website. It's circleforward.co.
All right, Russ, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you,
Good to
Dean.
have you here.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Bye, everyone.